Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Charlie Pankey, publisher of Sierra Rec Magazine. Thank you for joining the Sierra Rec Now podcast today. We hope that the Sierra is within your sights, whether you're just leaving it from the weekend or planning a future trip. We're glad you're here today. Today, I think you're really going to be excited because we're talking about some of the most beautiful country in the world that most people who think of Sierra, they think of Yosemite National Park. And so we're going to be talking about Yosemite and its cliffs and its sequoias and waterfalls and just some of the beautiful backcountry today. Because our guest today is from a great company who does guided backpacking trips, Lasting Adventures Company in Yosemite. And I have the pleasure today of having Kara Maceross with me today. She's a local expert with Lasting Adventures, and I believe a guide yourself, right, Kara?
Yes, I do it all.
That's fantastic. We like that. You would hate to have a job with a company like that and not be able to go out and hike. I would
Exactly,
assume so.
exactly.
Yeah. How are things going so far in the season? There's lots of snow still in Yosemite. So are you guys even up and operating yet?
Well, we do operate year round. We do
Okay.
day hikes year round. But as far as our backpacking trips, we'd mainly do that in the summer. And yeah, I mean, we got snow here in Groveland just a couple days ago. So that was a surprise in the lower elevations.
All
So
across this year, right? We was like 26 inches in Tahoe, and it was. I mean,
yeah,
I just talked to Lassen today, and Lassen had 8 inches, so it's up and down. So Uh,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
very good. So Groveland, that's one of my favorite places. I drive through Groveland when I come on the west side. I love stopping in Groveland. That's a beautiful area.
Nice.
So
It's a cute little town. Cute little town.
cute little town and very close to the gates of Yosemite. That's what's important. So
Yeah,
and
super important. We're only about 16 miles away from the gates. So,
that's perfect. How long you been with Lasting Adventures?
so I am going in my seventh year with Lasting
Okay.
Adventures. I started as a guide with a company and then moved into program management. And then I am now the site director for Yosemite and also the social, or basically the marketing manager for all the marketing that we do as well.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, when I actually looked at your profile beforehand, so you came from the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken, and
Sure
came
did.
out to Yosemite and then fell in love with it. Tell me, you wouldn't mind sharing with the listeners what was it about that first experience in the Sierra and Yosemite that made you want to stay?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have kind of a funny background. It's very different from what it is today. So I moved out to the West Coast to pursue fashion design.
Oh,
Yeah, I never went backpacking until I was 28 years old. My partner at the time took me backpacking in Yosemite for my first
mhm.
time on my 28th birthday. Did a hike along the panorama trail to Little Yosemite Valley and just
Nice.
absolutely fell in love with it. And yeah, basically, I didn't realize that this whole world existed out there with all these amazing, beautiful natural places. And, the world of backpacking, rock climbing, canyoneering, all that stuff just opened up to me. And that just kind of changed the trajectory of my future. And so I decided to pursue a career in the outdoors industry after that and completely pivoted. And now here I am working for a company that leads the most amount of trips in Yosemite National Park.
That's fantastic. I imagine that's got to be a scary transition to come out of what thinks is gonna be corporate world into the adventure industry, but one that most of
Absolutely.
us dream of.
Yeah, it was
uh,
definitely very scary. My parents weren't super excited, but it's
yeah,
worked out. It's worked out.
very good. Yeah, have you kept having a log of like how many miles you've done over the years then of actual hiking in
Ooh,
Yosemite?
that is a great question. I honestly, so there's about 800 trails, miles of trails in Yosemite, and
Hmm.
it is my goal to actually cover all of them. We
Oh
did have
wow.
an employee who did that before. He was a former ranger. And so I didn't want him to be the only one. So I set that as my goal. I don't know exactly how many I have done so far because I just have a map that I've highlighted. So I don't have like a spreadsheet, but
I
I've
do
had,
the same thing. I do
yeah,
highlight every little line. I do the exact same thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know that about me. I'm a kind of a Yosemite nut myself, but because I'm on the east side, I
Mhm.
always wait for Tioga Pass to open, and so most of the time I don't go. I go to Yosemite Valley about every 2 years to see the waterfalls, but
Yeah.
most of my time is in Tuolumne Meadows. That's kind of base camp for me,
Hey,
and
that's
then
a good place to
back.
be.
That's a pretty awesome place to be. Yeah, right. It's one of my favorite places in the world. But
Yeah.
let me ask you just some personal questions about that. Do you have like a favorite Yosemite trip I guess I could say Sequoia too, because I don't want to count Sequoia out. I know you guys do that as well. But do you have a favorite trip that you like to take guests on, or personally like to go hike yourself?
Yeah, so we do actually what's called a hidden Yosemite trip. So that starts in Tuolumne Meadows and heads
Hmm.
towards Glen Allen and keeps
Yep.
on going through Coldwater Canyon and all the way through like going past Matterhorn and Burro Pass and all that great spots of Yosemite that aren't as well known and you don't see as many people and are just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing and beautiful. And we kind of exit out of the park for that trip and then have to
Into
do
the
a
Hoover Wilderness, correct? Go through
what's
the
that?
Hoover. You guys go through the Hoover Wilderness to Sonora, correct on that?
Yeah, so well we actually exit out at I always get the names mixed up.
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes, yes. Twin Lakes,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah,
I know where you're at. Yeah, yeah. I always
yeah.
mix up Is Coldwater Canyon the one right out of Glen Ellen? It's right above Glen
Yeah.
Ellen. So
Hmm.
going
Yeah.
up to like McGee Lakes and stuff like that up there. Uh,
McGee Lake I think is going towards the other directions,
okay,
towards
I have it mixed up, so apologize for that. Yeah,
no worries.
I know where you're at. I'm just trying to figure. I haven't been past Glen Ellen that direction. Done the Grand Canyon, then I always turn back up towards May Lake when I go down
Grand
that
Canyon, the
direction. So
Tuolumne is another one too.
yeah,
That's an awesome one. That's the first place that I went solo backpacking. I did the Grand Canyon and the Tuolumne.
I always wonder, do you find it best for visitors to go in from Tuolumne down and go through it, or do you think it's better to start down further on the west side and come back up to Tuolumne in that route?
I think personally, the way I did it when I first did it was going like by White Wolf and
Oh,
going down, descending that like 4,000 feet of elevation as opposed to climbing that.
yeah, that would be
I mean,
more.
you
Yeah,
can do both ways depending on permits, but I think that's the better way. I mean, it is kind of hard on the knees the first day, but I'd rather go down than climb that. And then you could climb up next to like water wheel falls and stuff like that as you get closer to Glen Allen.
a little more gradual granite climbing
Yeah,
on that. So
exactly.
absolutely, very
Hmm.
cool. Well, last individuals, I know I've seen you guys in the park many times with your groups in the parking lots or the vans at different trailheads. What is it like the typical size of a group that you guys take into the wilderness during the summertime?
Great question. So we have two types of like trips that we do. We have one side of our business that is summer camp trips.
That's cool.
So that is a lot of kids that are coming throughout the summer from June through the mid of August.
Hmm.
And so for those trips, we do like 6 days, 13-day trips, and even a 27-day leadership expedition.
Wow.
And so for those trips, we have between about 6 and 10 kids at a time. And then we have
Okay.
2 guides that will be with them at all times. And then for our guide service trips, those are varied from, like I said, we do day hikes all the way to different backpacking trips, lots of backpacking trips that include Half Dome. And those are usually shorter. Adults don't like to take as much time away for some reason.
Yeah. Or
So those
can't,
can
right?
be, yeah, those can be in length from like 3 or 4 days to 7 days. And then, it can be from 2 people to a group of Yosemite permits allow us to have up to 15. Normally we don't have that many, but
Right.
I mean, we've had groups of 10 people before.
That's great. What
Yeah.
what is the most common trip that you guys book? I'm assuming it has Half Dome included,
Glacier
probably,
Point to
but
Half Dome.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Glacier Point to Half Dome, which we actually we go to Glacier Point, check it out, and then enter through Illilouette,
Oh, that's a
the
beautiful
Mono
route.
Meadow area, and
Beautiful route.
go that direction. It's like the
Okay,
shortest, but still offers a great
that's your
itinerary.
shortest trip.
Shortest, yeah, for the
Okay,
glacier, yeah, for the Half Dome.
is that the most elevation you guys do? Like, I mean, Grand Canyon is going to have quite a bit of elevation
Yeah,
changes, so
Grand
that's
Canyon and
okay.
the Tuolumne probably has a lot of elevation. Trying to think if any other ones would rival that. I mean, Hidden Yosemite probably also does too. We do a
Yeah.
Tuolumne Meadows to Half Dome, but that one you gain a little bit of elevation, but you're also doing a lot of kind of downhill for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually for the first time this year. I'm actually doing Tuolumne up through Vogelsang and then to the valley. So I'm doing
Yeah,
that whole route. I haven't done that whole route yet. I've done pieces of it, but I haven't done the whole thing in one trip.
yeah,
So
that's an
I
amazing
might do
itinerary.
that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to doing that in September this year. So I know that as I've seen you guys up at May Lake.
Oh
So
yeah.
like for day trips, can people just like, I mean, May Lake Mount Hoffman is a simple day trip. Is that kind of like a small package, or would that be kind of a beginner's level but
Yeah,
still
we
elevation? Yeah.
Absolutely. We do a Mount Hoffman day hike offer, and then we also do like lodging program and classic camping program where we can
Oh,
choose like different hikes that people can do each day. So that could be incorporated as like one of the options that you go to as one of those day hikes. And like Tuolumne Meadows is also another one. We have a Tuolumne Meadows like day hike tour, and so like that's completely customizable depending on what the clients want to see and do in the area. And so that could be something we do incorporated in that hike as well.
that's fantastic. So let's don't forget about the rest of your parks. Sequoia, what do you guys do? I saw it was a 10-day trip in Sequoia. How do you do a 10-day trip in Sequoia? Do you go all across and back? Or
Yeah,
what?
so that one's relatively new to us. So we have run our 27-day trip in Sequoia National Park
Okay.
as the last section of their month-long trip.
Okay.
And so we decided to try and do an individual trip down there. And our trips are basically around Mineral King Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I actually don't know if that one's going to run this year because we don't have the signups for it, but it's
Okay.
definitely something we're excited about having and pursuing for the future and offering a different option because it's absolutely gorgeous there too. I think a lot of people go for the trees in Sequoia, but they don't
Right.
realize how amazing the scenery is and how, grand all of the canyons and granite there is as well.
I'm actually going down for my very first backpacking trip late June. We're going to do Silliman and Jo Pass Loop.
Nice.
So up there. But I've never done Sequoia. Went and saw the trees last year for the first time. So kind of
Awesome.
excited to go see how different it might be. I've done
Yeah,
a lot of Desolation Wilderness and Yosemite, but that side's a little different. Um,
yeah,
I wouldn't say atmosphere is the wrong word. When you get to that west side, the climate's a little different than coming from the east side.
definitely.
It's a little different feel to it. So excited about doing that. And then you guys do Joshua Tree trips as well, correct?
Yep, we do
Yep.
Joshua Tree and we have an Olympic National Park program as well.
Oh,
So
that would be
yeah,
beautiful.
Joshua Tree is in basically the opposite season. We don't do that during the summer, too
Okay, yeah.
hot. But we started offering that about 2 years ago and
Okay.
have done quite a handful of kids trips down there with some organizations and some individual, like basically for a winter break type of option for kids. And
Sure.
then we also started offering guide service as well for some backpacking. And we're going to do some like base camping and hiking options for
That's fun.
kind of fall, winterish, springtime. Yeah, and then Olympic, we're about 3 or 4 years now. We've been running that one. So much
That's a trip.
yeah, Olympic is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, definitely a little bit far from here, but we have a team that is up there. It's not like our team goes and travels back and forth. So we have
Yeah.
a smaller team of guides, about 5 or 6 guides up there with someone who runs a program up there and handles all the logistics and everything. And we do the same as well, do the kids trips and guide service as well,
That's
coordinating.
fantastic.
Mhm.
That's great. You guys, I mean, do you get all is it mostly beginners, or do you get a lot of guests that are seasoned backpackers who just like to go on a guided trip and learn new things about it? I mean, is it kind of
It's definitely varied.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's varied. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. We'll definitely have a lot of people who have never backpacked before, some people who have done a little bit, or some people who are more experienced who are just traveling from far and don't want to handle the logistics and or transporting all the gear because you can, when you sign up for a trip with us, we have all the gear that you can use for the trip, like backpacks, sleeping bags, pads, all the group gear, all that kind of stuff. And we work with good partners that provide us a lot of good discounts on the gear, so they're like good quality camping items. And
oh, that's
so
good.
yeah, there's
So
there's definitely a lot of varied.
so that's actually leads to one of my questions. I was gonna say, I said, do you have tips for beginners coming and what kind of gear to bring? But it sounds to me like you guys provide everything besides maybe like their own boots and clothing. Is that
Exactly.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have like if you sign up for a trip with us, we provide you with a whole like packing list, equipment list, and provide you any advice along the way. If you have
Mhm.
questions, if you want to buy all the stuff yourself, that's fine. And then just ask us questions. Or if you're just beginning, we highly recommend trying out our gear, and then you can see if you like it or not, and then you can go based on that and maybe try something else somewhere else. And then camping gear is kind of expensive, so you don't want to always just like invest in all of that right away. It'd be a pretty penny, so it's a
I'm
good way to
actually
try it.
I'm
Try
actually
before you buy.
I'm working on a video now because it's our 10th anniversary, and I thought, Well, fun would be go back and look at what my backpack looked like 6 years ago and how
Oh yeah.
that what stuff I've taken out of it and what I put back in because you learn, because you're right there, back then you're just grabbing stuff out of the closet basically and
Yeah,
figuring it
yeah.
out. So very fun. So I was one of the questions I thought about when I was thinking about today's discussion. It says, can you think of maybe it's the most common? Because I don't want to pick on anybody. Like, what's the biggest common mistake somebody who comes on a tour and they're coming to Yosemite for the first time on a backpacking trip? What kind of mistakes do you see them make? Like whether it be the wrong shoes or
Ooh.
they don't bring bug nets or they, what kind of things do you see most common?
Well, we provide bug nets,
Do you?
especially when it's
Okay,
high mosquito season, for sure. We don't want anybody to suffer.
especially in May.
But shoes definitely brings up a good concern because, obviously having a good pair of shoes is highly recommended, but even more so is breaking those shoes in before you're hiking. So that I think is one of the most common things is people buying those brand new shoes and not breaking them in and then having issues and blisters and hot spots whenever they're hiking. And your feet are one of your like most valuable assets when you're hiking and backpacking. So it's hard when you have a problem day one, then it's going to be a problem all the rest of the trip.
All the rest trip guaranteed.
Yep.
Especially you get on that hot granite. To some of those areas you guys probably hike in that have exposed granite. It gets really warm mid afternoon,
Oh
and
yeah.
those shoes will start feeling pretty horrible.
Yeah,
I
indeed.
understand that. So you get to go into Yosemite and go to places where a lot of people don't get to go. Most people obviously go to Yosemite Valley, and then you're out on these trips and stuff. Can you name like a lake or maybe a canyon or a certain spot in Yosemite that you just go, that is like one of my favorite places in the world? Like it's like that scene or that location, just and explain why maybe.
Sure. I think for me that would be Ireland Lake. Um, so Ireland Lake is
Beautiful area.
it's an offshoot. If you're doing that Vogelsang trip,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to stop by there. I've been there a couple times, and I just think first of all, it's off the beaten path, so you're not going to see many humans there. You're going to feel that feeling of like you are alone in the wilderness, and that very special feeling that brings upon you. And then on top of that, there's not really any trees, even though I love trees.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a vast barren landscape where it's
Yeah.
just like very wide open and you just get to see all these amazing peaks around you and all these high altitude peaks, not to, mention. So it's just got the beautiful scenery, very vast open landscape with scenes for days and then not many humans.
I can't argue. It's absolutely a beautiful place. I'm a hammock camper, so when we
Oh,
went through there, I had to go back on the ridge, and we stayed at the same level, but just went further in the ridge and the trees.
yeah.
And though we had the Kuna Crest and the Alpine Glow on the crest that night, it was good. But that's a beautiful region. I actually Townsley Lake on the back a little bit further, just above Fletcher Lake. I think that's one of the most stunning locations. Just that
Yeah.
whole valley and that canyon like that. But yeah, so that's a beautiful country, and I look forward to going back to
Yeah.
the area. I look forward to getting to Bernice Lake this year. I've never been to Bernice Lake.
Oh,
I've been
yes, I have.
so I'm going down, and so we're gonna stay the night. One of the nights is Bernice Lake, so look forward to that. So
Yeah, going up and over Vogelsang Pass into that basin is amazing.
amazing, right? Right? It looks that way. So
Yeah.
very cool. Okay, so how about wicked river crossings? Like where's the toughest place to cross a river or creek in your trail systems? Maybe you don't do that with guests. I don't know, but
Well, we do. We
okay,
do. There's so we actually on our we have a Caltopo account where we mark like certain river crossings and we're
okay,
like marking certain notes about them, especially last year. This was obviously a very big concern with the snowpack
yeah,
of last year in the mount. I would say the Illilouette crossing is one early on that is one that is a potential, danger. But I think the one that it was the hardest for me
mm-hmm.
back in the day when I did another solo trip, and we always are alerted to is coming south from Yosemite Creek off of Tioga.
Okay,
Yeah, so the Yosemite Creek trailhead and the Yosemite Creek crossing there. It's
mm-hmm.
only about a mile or less than a mile in from the trailhead.
Yep.
And early season, that can be like up to elbow deep and
Really?
cold.
I didn't
And
know that.
yeah. That one's
That's
definitely
crazy.
a star there to watch out for.
Okay. That's good. No, I've never had to go, well, I've never gone, I guess, down from the gate. I've done, Mona Pass there and gone up to Granite Lake and different
Mhm.
things, but I've never come all the way down that ridge there. Like that's fascinating. So
Yeah.
that would be a good creek crossing because that's got some slippery granite in that area too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
very
I
much
mean,
so.
there are some logs there, but that's also like the scary part. If you take the logs, then there's the chance of falling on the logs. Yeah, we've had trips that have kind of navigated quarter mile upstream or whatnot to find a better crossing as
Yeah.
opposed to where the trail crosses.
So a question for you. So I'm a person who like I've never actually hired a guide service, so apologize, but I've never
That's
done that.
okay.
I've been out in the woods since I was a little kid. But one of the things I always think about when I think of guide service and whether or not I would actually enjoy it if I did, because it sounds really fun, right? To go out with a bunch of group people and to just have someone else be in charge and do it.
Yeah.
But like I like to go and venture off trail. If I, especially look at my map and go, hey, there's a lake right up there. I'll just take off and go see that lake, right? When you're a guest on a guide service, I don't, and hopefully it's not negative. I just is there room for exploration in a trip where people get to go, maybe you stop in a canyon and go, hey, if you want to walk over there, go ahead, and there's a creek up there, or a waterfall or whatever. So
It depends on the trip
yep,
and the hiker capability, so
okay,
and the group size. So here, like, there's different factors, obviously. So if you're on a tighter itinerary and you have maybe full days of hiking and don't have as much time, it's not as much liberty to do that. Yosemite does have the off trail travel. You have to be in groups of 8 or less.
yep,
So if you have a smaller group, you're afforded that opportunity to do off trail. So we've had some guides who have had a couple of people on their trips. We actually had the guy from Lecky here,
okay,
the hiking poles, and him and another friend, it was just the two of them with one of our guides, and a lot of their trail was like off trail travel.
they took off. Okay, they had a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
route planned. Right?
they chose the adventure route.
Yep. I like
It
that.
was like a Tuolumne Meadows to Half Dome, but they definitely did a lot of peak traversing and off trail travel. And yeah, I mean,
Sure.
especially like if we have time at camp and there's opportunities around camp, and it's if you feel secure with people doing that and not
Hmm.
injuring themselves or
Yeah, there's
causing
a whole
harm,
different business
then
aspect. I understand that. Yeah,
it's good to
absolutely.
have that exploration and that kind of childhood wonder to go see what else is out there.
Absolutely. And now, one thing that listeners may or may not know that obviously one of the real benefits of maybe hiring a service like yours is that we have the reservation permit systems that are required for not only backcountry but even reservations to get into the park this year. You
Mhm.
have to be planned ahead. So one of the things I've talked to a lot of people this year is that hey, if you've missed out, you didn't get your reservation, and you want to go backpacking, one of the best things to do is contact a company like you because you handle the permit in the park, their
Absolutely.
access points, all included, right? So kind of an all
Yep.
inclusive thing.
Yep.
Yep.
If they can't get anything in time, yeah, you can book a day hike with us. You can book a, overnight backpacking trip, and
Hmm.
then we provide that entrance into the park. It's one of the bonuses.
So we're here early May of 2024. How booked up are you for the summer? Is there still time for people to find spots for summer now?
Oh, my boss will always find spots. No.
Okay. Okay.
um, yeah, we have. I mean, spots definitely fill up, and there's certain quotas on like certain permits that we have. Once we hit a limit, we have to close it. So if you go on to our website,
Okay.
lastingadventures.com, any trip that you're interested in, it will show you the remaining spots available.
Okay.
So yeah, we get a certain amount of permits for the season, and so I mean, we've definitely had a lot of interest in guide service this season. So
Mhm.
spots are filling up fast,
Great.
especially when it comes with Half Dome.
Yeah.
Summer camp, there's lots of opportunities as well throughout the summer. Like I said, those 6 days, 13 days. We have the young women's trips, also the all female trips for adults as well that we started
Hmm.
this year. So
Yeah.
there's space. There's space.
That's fantastic. So there's plenty of
Yeah.
opportunity on that. Very good. Um, so you brought up camps a couple of times. I want to make sure I circle back to that real quick here. We're about running out of time, but for parents who want to get their kids outdoors or experience Yosemite, what would be your advice or tips that you'd give them? What kind of things do they need to know about your camps for kids?
Do it.
Do it. Do it. I love it.
It's
Just do it.
something it's something you or your kids won't regret. I mean, honestly, kids go on these trips and it literally changes their lives. Some kids go in there and they're, quiet, soft spoken, and they come out and just like not able to stop talking about the experience they had, the friendships they made, and the amazing scenery that they saw. Like our trips, we encourage obviously community and team building. We do like debriefs every night with the kids. We try and create special moments, whether that's like a special sunset or sunrise, little venture that the kids will have. But they're just given an experience that you can't replicate anywhere else. And we have kids that come back year after year after year, and sometimes bring their friends next year and like fill up almost an entire trip with them, with their friends, doing a trip with us. They get a little bracelet to commemorate their trip, as well as a trail name that is bestowed upon them based upon some things that they had, kind of, like you get a trail name hiking for a long time. So we give each kid a little trail name to remember their experience as well.
I'm feeling a little jealous right now. I want to go on a trip just for my That's fantastic. Well, that's fantastic. So we're coming up to the end of our show here. I always want to be respectful of your time, audience time. We can kind of keep that 25-30 minute window there. I have 3 questions I ask all my guests at the end. They're pretty easy, but I think you'll get a hold of these pretty quick. So let me go ahead and ask these of you, and then we can kind of wrap up the show if that works for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you're in Yosemite, so I'm gonna keep you in the Sierra at least. Okay. But say your bag is packed, and you have a weekend for yourself or a week to yourself to go exploring. It could be anywhere in the Sierra Nevada. Where are you going?
Ooh. Since I'm trying to do that 800 miles. So it's hard. I'm like, I feel like I really want to go someplace I haven't been before. I always do that. But I think one of the places that I also really loved that I would love to do again is the whole Red Peak Pass loop. In the southern part of Yosemite. Yeah, that was.
I just heard about that for the first time about 2 weeks ago on YouTube. I didn't even know it existed. I was like, "Where's that?"
Yeah.
So tell people a little bit about. We got an extra minute. Tell people just a little bit about what Red Peak, that loop is. What is it about that loop?
Yeah, so there is what is called the Clark Range, which has a series of 5 or 6 peaks that are on there. And Red Peak Pass is one of them, and it has kind of more red rock than anything that you'll see around in the surrounding Sierra, because it's a lot of granite. And so this rock has that red color to it, so it stands out even from afar when you see it from different places in Yosemite. And the Clark Range is just a outstanding range that is beautiful to see from anywhere in the park, honestly. And so the Red Peak Pass loop goes all the way around that whole range. And so you're experiencing like higher elevation lakes, like passes. You go up and down lots of different passes, and hopefully some good flowers and some just great scenery. You can see all the way out to the Eastern Sierra, like the minarets and stuff like that. So it's absolutely gorgeous.
What's the entrance trailhead that you prefer for that route?
So when I did it a couple of years ago, I went all the way down south to I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. It was there's another one that's like Quartzsite or something like that, that people do. And it was around the area, but a lot of people also can enter from like Mono Meadow.
I've heard Mono Meadow before, so very good. All right, so second question. That's a great answer. I love that answer. Your pack. What is the piece of gear that is always with you that you don't leave home without? That's the piece of gear that you just aren't messing with.
For me, I very much cherish a really good night's sleep. So for me, I am a big fan of that inflatable sleeping pad. I can't do the, foam sleeping pads or whatever. I need that inflatable for a good night's sleep. And that makes all the difference in the world to be able to
ask you which brand is your favorite then? What do you?
So I have a Thermarest Neo Air. I think that's the brand name. It's like, it's one of the lighter ones. Being a guide, you tend to try and get lighter gear for your personal stuff because you're carrying a lot of other people's gear at the end. So you got to balance it out.
Very good. So a long day on the trail. What's the go-to snack or food that you just love having in the backcountry?
Ooh, I mean, food. If you want to start talking food with me, this could go on for a long
Oh,
time.
okay. Separate episode.
um,
Like, I'm a
um,
peanut butter and jelly guy. I love my peanut butter and jelly on the trail. You know,
yeah,
I bring
yeah.
it everywhere.
I think this one is one that we do a lot on our guide service trips, and I definitely do a lot for myself personally. Is a good charcuterie board. Yeah,
Really?
get those cured meats and some good cheeses and crackers, and I could snack on that all day for lunch, for dinner.
Nice.
Yeah,
To me,
absolutely.
the cheeses always melt. How do you get the cheeses not to melt?
It depends. It depends. Yeah. So you do have to worry about that. There are some tricks. I mean, definitely bringing the harder cheeses is a good recommendation.
Okay.
Having a couple varieties of hard cheese. And then if you put them in the middle of your bear can as opposed to the outside where the sun can hit it
Oh,
sometimes, if it's
okay.
outside of your pack, that's another little trick that I've used.
That's
But
good.
yeah.
Good. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. That's very good. Well, Kara, that is 30 minutes, so I'll be respectful of your time. And thank you so very much. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I
Yeah.
know I'll see Lasting Adventures vans driving around Yosemite this summer as I booked up a couple day trips for myself and be backpacking this
Absolutely.
summer there. So,
Thank you
uh,
for having me.
absolutely, I'd be glad to. I know you have talked about the women's trip this year, so if you guys need any more information, get out, let me know, and we'll go from there. But if you're planning to go Yosemite this week, and are listening to our show today, reach out to Lasting Adventures. I know I'm going to be a very credible company. Haven't been on the trips. I can't give you a personal testimony, but I know the people there in the parking lot they're helping are always smiling. So maybe because they're in Yosemite, I don't know, but it's a great place to be. And we really do wish you guys the best summer. Hope it's safe and lots of fun travels. And
Thank you so much. You
thanks for
too.
joining us today. Thank you. I
Yeah.
hope the Sierra's in your guys' path today.
Yeah. Absolutely.